Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the MAP Talk Show. So wonderful to have you with us tonight. And I know that we're in for an exciting time. We're very privileged to have Glen McQuirk, the founder of Map for Life, as our speaker tonight. And I've known Glen for over 20 years, and we spent time together in East London, and these days it's in Pretoria. And he really is a dreamer. And I was inspired when he wrote his first book, which was to become the first Map for Life, way back in 1999, and it was entitled Your History in the Making. And as we look back over the last 22 years, it certainly has made a difference in the lives of lots of people. So folk, join me in welcoming Glen McQuirk, and his subject tonight is the third in the series on dreams and is entitled Dream Deceiver.
Well, good evening. This is a really, really exciting time, and so looking forward to hearing the panel discussion this evening. Peter, thank you so much for introducing us. And of course, way back when I first met Peter, I used to have a full head of hair, and I'm sure the dream back then was to keep that full head of hair. But as my father said, you know, nothing grows on a busy street. And so today, 23 years later, we are beginning our next phase in Map for Life. And just this weekend, we had a planning session or strategy session talking about the next 21 years. And I said to Peter this morning when we met that maybe I should have rather been talking about the next 28 years, because that will bring us to the end of the period of time that I originally planned to be working in Map for Life and taking it global. And I'm so excited to have you a part of this session this evening, and look forward to your comments as we share tonight. So this evening, I'm going to be continuing our series on dreams. And just to quickly recap, the first session that we had, was titled Dream Catcher. And if you recall, there were a number of key words that we looked at. And the first was that your dream should be desirable. Okay, it should align with the desires of your heart. It should be relevant for a time such as this. There should be an emotional connection. It should be aligned with your purpose and passion. And ultimately, it should have a meaningful impact in this world. And so that was our talk on Dream Catcher. The next one, part 2, was titled Dream Achiever, and was looking at what are the characteristics of somebody who achieves their dream. And of course, those were words like determination, resilience, endurance, adaptability, and somebody who's motivated from within. And so these are the first 2 parts of a series of 8 that we have completed. And tonight's series is going to be talking about this concept of Dream Deceiver. And right at the outset, what I'm suggesting is that there's a possibility that the dreams that you and I pursue are not the ones that we should be pursuing. Maybe there's been some form of deception in the process, and we've grabbed onto someone else's dream for our life instead of our own. You know, maybe your father or mother had a dream for you. Right at this moment, a story just pops into my head, so I need to share it with you. And that was some years ago, probably 15 years back. I had the opportunity to do a coaching session with somebody, and this gentleman was a dentist, and he was operating in the close to where Peter actually lives. And we had a meeting, and I discovered very quickly that he was not passionate about being a dentist. In fact, he couldn't wait for the day to be over. He was in a place of depression. And so I asked him, what got you, what drove you to becoming a dentist? Because to become a dentist, you need to go and study for a number of years. You've got to do some practical implementation before you are finally qualified. And he said, well, it's quite simple, actually. We were 4 brothers, and my mother's dream was that one of her sons would be a doctor. What happened was the first son became an engineer. The second son also became an engineer. The third son became a town planner. And that left me. And I was the last one there, so I had no option. I had to become a doctor of some kind. And so the one I chose was dentistry. And, today, he said, after 25 years of practicing as a dentist, I have so much debt that I can't see myself getting into anything else other than to continue as a dentist until I retire. What a sad state of affairs that was. And, I think many, many people find themselves in a place where they are pursuing things to impress someone else. Maybe it's a father or mother. Perhaps they've even passed on, and we're still striving to hear those words, well done, son, well done, daughter. You've done what I expected you to do. In fact, you've done more than what I expected you to do. But those kinds of dreams are not the ones that we should be pursuing. So let me share some thoughts with you this evening. And I think if I'm considering this title tonight of Dream Deceiver, I think one of the dreams that many people wrongly pursue are the dreams that are there to define us, to define me. And when I say dreams to define me, it's actually about dreams that are going to give me a name. Somebody once said to me, your name is on your flame. In other words, that which you are passionate about is the thing that you should be pursuing. So many of the dreams we are pursuing are ones that are there to define us. We're seeking titles, we're seeking positions, we're seeking something that's going to make us credible, as if we have no value, that we have no worth as we are. I want to just reiterate what I've said many times before, and that is that you and I are unique in every way. You might know that our fingerprints are unique, and maybe you've heard that our DNA is unique. Perhaps you are also aware that your facial scan is unique, and that's why you can use it as a password to access your phone. Your retina scan is unique. Everything about you is unique. So that makes you priceless. That makes you valuable beyond comprehension. So dreams that are designed to try and make you somebody are maybe misplaced. So let's be aware that we should not be pursuing dreams to define us. Because when you stop pursuing, a lot of people, I'm thinking in the work environment, who they are is so interlinked with what they do that one day when they leave the work, they lose their own, what would be the right word? They lose their identity because their identity is linked in with what they do. So be cautious of pursuing dreams simply to build a name for yourself. The other kind of dreams that we should be aware of, or rather cautious of, is those that are realistic. So often we hear that, and in particular, the modern day goal that people are suggesting we pursue are ones which are realistic. And what does that mean? It means that we begin to pursue dreams that are within our own ability, dreams that have some form of limitation. I want to suggest that our dreams shouldn't be realistic, but rather our dreams should be relevant. We should be pursuing relevant dreams. Realistic dreams are designed to limit us. I think in the corporate environment, if you are an employee, they place these limitations on you so that you don't play around with the company's money, in essence. You must work within a budget. You must work within the confines of what that company has set. But when it comes to your own dream, it needs to be one which is relevant, one that's going to meet needs in today's society. Not realistic dreams. Another kind of dream that we are drawn to maybe is ones that elevate ourselves above others. This is clearly observed in the hierarchy within organizations. There's a CEO who sits at the top of the pyramid and everybody else is below. So what do we want to do? We want to climb the ladder. We want to get to the top. And many people are pursuing goals to elevate themselves. It's all about me, myself, and I. And how can I be better than others? And I think pursuing a dream simply to be better than other people is misunderstanding your true value. You are valuable just as you are. So let's be cautious of those kind of dreams. There's another obvious dream that we are encouraged to pursue, and those are the ones that are achievable. I'm amazed at how many people set themselves goals for the new year that is maybe 10% bigger than the current year. They will say, this year we did $1 million in turnover. Next year, let's aim higher. Let's aim for $1,100,000. And in the same process, they increase the price of their product by 10%. So in reality, they're not going to grow whatsoever. They're going to be selling the same amount as they did the year before. And many corporates find themselves in this process. They're simply setting inflationary goals and not real goals. They're setting ones which they believe are within their grasp. Yes, they might stretch somebody slightly. But why settle for goals that are within your grasp? Let's dream big. Let's dream beyond our own ability. Let's destroy the confines of limitations. Let's dream and think big. Be aware of setting or limiting yourself to achievable goals. And then the letter M, the final point this evening, is we tend to want to set measurable goals. And there is value in measuring so that you know where you are in relation to where you want to be. But many people are using the concept of measurability for comparison, to compete against the next person, to be able to, again, to elevate myself and to say, I have done X, which is better than what someone else did. It's about making myself look good. This is often why people measure. So I'm not suggesting that measuring your progress is a bad thing, but I do think if you're measuring it for the purpose of comparing yourself to others instead of improving on your own ability, it could be harmful. So let's just quickly recap. the dream deceiver. I think in the words that I've used, you will know what I'm alluding to. Okay, there's somebody out there that wants to distract you, to keep you from pursuing those really important dreams that are aligned with your purpose. And the way that he does this is to suggest that you should pursue dreams that define you, because what is being said in a way is that you actually are a nobody, and in order to be a somebody, you need to pursue something worthwhile. The goals that are realistic are the ones that limit us. The ones that tend to elevate us above others actually suggest that we ourselves have a low self-image. The achievable ones are usually ones that are within our grasp, but don't really stretch us, they don't grow us, they don't allow us to do something that's really remarkable. And then lastly, the measurable goals are mostly for comparison purposes, when in actual fact we should just be measuring our own progress and measuring against ourselves. So I hope that this evening that you've got some food for thought, and that you will be tuned in to hear what the panel has to say, because I know that tonight they've got some real great input to share with you. And I'm going to be handing back to Peter. Before I do, just to remind you that Map for Life is entering into a new era right now, and we would like to invite you to join us and become a member with Map for Life so that you can participate as we begin to expand into countries around the world. And right now, there's 107 countries that know about Map for Life. 93 more we still need to talk to. And with your participation, with you as a member, we can begin to touch lives and transform people. So I'm going to hand back to Peter after this short commercial. I trust that you'll participate, share your comments. We'd love to hear from you.
Was that not thought-provoking? You know, at the conference we had over the weekend, we spoke about what Map for Life does and how Map for Life is different to other self-development programs, and that Map for Life really takes us on a different journey to that taken by so many other self-development programs. And I think that Glen has just set it out that we're not following the traditional route. We want to lead our people to significance, not just success. And to be significant, it's a different route. It's a route about others. And I'm looking forward to hearing what the panel's got to say about success versus significance, and that we can so easily be deceived into following a course leading us to success and not to significance. We've got a wonderful panel tonight. Norman from Botswana, Gaborone, and Terence from the East Rand and Boksburg. And I'm going to throw the first question at Norman, simply because Norman is the youngest of the panel. And I'd like to hear what Norman says. And the reason I say it was that I was with one of my people yesterday, and it's a guy well into his 70s. And over a cup of tea yesterday, he spoke about, he had this dream of becoming a school teacher. And the powers to be talked him out of his dream to be a school teacher. And here he is at 75 plus, talking about a regret that he has, that he never became the school teacher that he wanted to. And I think it's so sad. Maybe it's a little bit like Glen's story of the dentist, where parents forced the guy into being a dentist, whereas my guy, his parents forced him into following another career. But Norman, I'd love you just to share your dreams and your thoughts on the subject.
Well, thanks, Taryn, and thanks, Glen, for such a thought-provoking, presentation. I mean, here were, my greatest takeaway is the challenge that he has brought to us, which is actually a call for change in our thinking. Everything that Glen says goes against a lot of the principles that we have been taught over the years. But when we listen intently, it's indeed about it. The information is there to empower us to change and recognize that the world system in itself has its flaws. And one of the flaws that he mentioned is, even just when you look at the recognition systems, the way we are recognized, it's more about you being a hero, whether it's an award that you're being given, whether it's an accomplishment that you've made. It's often espoused, and even the commentary centers around who you are. So you can see that already we are against a very big wave of me, myself, and I being at the center. And and therefore we will tend to work towards being the title, the name, and the position being at the center of our thinking, and that is what we are rewarded for. And because that's the way the world rewards us, naturally we're against a very big tide. I mean, even as a child, when growing at home, the comments that come tend to lean towards you being the hero. And tonight, for me, it was just, the message came up very clearly that be careful, be on the watch, that as you dream, let it not be about you. Be aware that the world tends to think more on you, but it's less about you, but the impact that you will make in the world. And that is what is most important.
Thank you. I love that. Terence, what have you got to say?
So, firstly, thank you, Peter, and thanks, Glen, for that wonderful talk. Norman, when you mentioned the awards, I thought you'd go into the Oscars and the Will Smith story, and I was looking forward to that. But really, what Glen has said, and I've been associated with Glen for over close on 20 years now, and it really, for me, what underlines the whole thing is what Norman alluded to as well, is that we are operating in this world in two systems, or under two systems. One is the world system, and the other system is, I think, what Glen calls the kingdom system. And they are opposed, where the one talks of, as we said, success, the other one talks of significance. And Peter, you asked the question very early up front, what is the difference? How do we see the difference between success and significance, for example? I would see success as climbing the ladder. See how high you can climb the ladder, right? And it's based on a secular and on a worldly system, right? Significance for me goes beyond our deaths. It goes beyond this particular life. Significance is about a legacy that we leave behind. It's what we've sown into other people. And yeah, I mean, I really love this whole series on dreams that Glen is talking about, because it just reinforces the fact that we are living in under two systems. And I think that's the starting point. Again, Norman alluded to our thinking process. That's what we've got to change, because the world as we know it and the world which we live in will always draw us away from the way we were meant to live. So yeah, I'm very excited about the dream series.
Peter, if you allow, I mean, Peter, if you allow, and Terence, Terence, you mentioned the word, the legacy, that
Yeah,
tonight's talk really was about that significance and the legacy that you leave. So you can imagine that if one wants to leave a legacy, it's important to know that the legacy is actually not determined by you. It only
yes,
becomes a true legacy as it is determined by the people whom it impacts. So
exactly.
clearly, when Glenn says, if you're chasing dreams and your focus on the dream is more to elevate you, they're definitely right there, will not be a legacy. Because legacy is as how people perceive it, and look at your life and what you have done and the impact. It's their view, not your view.
100%. And Map for Life is all about other people. It's really about we doing things that impact other people before ourselves. But in the process, we too are rewarded, and we too, feel that level of gratitude of having made a difference. Really. Sorry, Peter.
No, I'm so fascinated by the topic, and this challenge, this challenge of success and significance. I got involved with the Halftime Institute, and the Halftime Institute talks about moving from success to significance, and there's an element that we need to chase success, and only once we become successful can we become significant. Part of it is related to financial issues, that measuring success in terms of finance, and now that you've got the money, you're able to finance other things. And when we look at the Warren Buffetts and the Bill Gateses, how they've made their fortune, and now they are working towards being philanthropic and giving it away and becoming significant that way. Whereas we then go to a Mother Teresa, and from day one it was all about significance. And, any comments there, guys?
Yeah, but Peter, there's a reality here. The reality is that we must put bread on the table. So it also poses another challenge in the role of money, because you see what tends to distract us, our dreams, is and making us kind of focus on the money, is because of this basic need of putting money on the table and having bread on the table. And therefore it then begins to say to us, we must explore how to monetize those dreams, how to monetize the purpose. Because if we don't have conversations around that, then the bread and butter issues come into play, and they even hold that dream back. You're right to say, when we look at the Elon Musks and the successful people, we're looking more at what they've made, but forgetting the journey that they went through before the money was made. And therefore that monetization process, that understanding how Mother Teresa, like you said, how Mahatma Gandhi and all the others, still made a living whilst they left a big legacy and made an impact in the world, is an important area to also explore.
Yes.
Yeah,
Terence?
Peter, if I can say something, for me, money is important to a certain degree, but for me, what's more important is the rationale, as Norman alluded to. And there's a saying that goes, and we often use it in Map for Life circles: if the vision is correct, the provision will follow. Okay. So for me, it's all about understanding why I do what I do, right? And again, as Norman has alluded to, if that can be monetized, I can do more of what I do. So that's a driving force for me. And I don't necessarily see it as sequential, that I've got to make money first in order to become significant. In the process of reaching out for significance, absolutely I make money. But my reason for journeying is not to make money. That's not my primary goal. My primary goal is to be significant, to leave a legacy, and to live my life the way it was designed to live. And I honestly believe in that one quick saying: if the vision is correct, provision will always follow. Thanks, Peter.
Actually, the I think it was the Dream Achiever series where he brought out previously, the need for resilience, the need for endurance, because oftentimes we as the dream begins and you're busy pursuing it, if the money element doesn't come in quickly, we then kind of dump the dream. But if you're true to the dream and you're true and it's aligned and it's coming and being driven from a purpose standpoint, one needs to be more resilient. One needs to endure until the time when, like you said, the blessing of the money will follow that particular dream.
Yeah. No, there's also the saying of blessed to be a blessing. Again, that puts things in context. Why am I blessed? So I can bless others. So I see money in that context as well.
I was just, whilst we were waiting this evening, I picked up Journal 2000, Your History in the Making. And this is what Glen wrote in 1999. You're the purpose. God created you because he has a purpose that only you can fulfill. He equipped you with all the resources you need within you to pursue and complete your purpose. The world needs you to fulfill your purpose, your country, your city, your family, and you need you to fulfill your purpose. The world is a better place because you showed up with a purpose. Within you lies potential that you haven't even begun to imagine. Potential to change, to conquer, to care, to make a difference. Yes, you can make a difference. And I think that's an inspiring message. And I think that's what Mappers all about, and what we're all about, is helping people to unlock that potential, to wake them up to that. But sadly, I think the two systems that we've spoken about trap us, where it's focusing on me, myself, and I. And we need to get out of that and not be deceived in that. Any comment there?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a reality there once again. If from where I sit, if you were to ask what is the fastest road or the quickest way to get to the money, to get to the recognition, being yourself, to all the normal things, in the world system where we're not talking about significance but success. In other words, the route to success, as in the way we define it when we compare it to significance, is the faster route. So in other words, I'm just trying to conscientize us that the money will come in faster if you go the success route. That's a given. You will be praised, and you will be praised quickly. That's the truth. But if you are about significance, and if you're about impact, and if you're about changing people's lives, you just have to know that the other route is a little longer, because it also has a lot to do with your self-understanding, your own purpose. So the journey becomes a little longer. So there is a reality, and one has to really be clear and choose and know that it's two world systems. One might be quicker, but it's short term, it's short-lived. But the other one is more long-lived and has more benefits, not only for yourself, but for many other people as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Terence?
Great, man. Yeah, so I have a passion. I have a passion for younger people, and the reason I have a passion for younger people is that they are not as deeply impacted by the world system where they're at as we are, or I was, right? And for me, what I try and do is to get them to understand that there are two systems, right? And this is the characteristics of the one, and these are the characteristics of the other. And to get them to understand what we teach, what we train in Map for Life at a much earlier stage. And I believe if we catch them, then we're able to influence the world, far more impactfully. Okay, the younger we get there, because let's face it, if you go ask the average Map subscriber right now and look at their ages, right? I don't know exactly what the lowest age is, but I'd be surprised if we have a real genuine mapper at the age of 12, for example. Okay.
Yeah.
So I really believe that is a solution for long-term impact and legacy, is to get them the young. We spoke earlier, Norman, you mentioned the school system. The school system teaches people, and sorry, what to think rather than how to think. Just as an example. So with concepts such as being spoken of tonight, if we can get youngsters to understand these concepts, and as they grow older and as they engage with the world as we know it, they engage with it more wisely. They have more wisdom around it. They have more understanding that, if I go the success route, it's going to be faster, but it's not going to be long lasting. So for me, that is really something that, even this discussion that we're having now is very, very relevant for younger people. Then you have fewer regrets as well. If you can catch the fire earlier.
I think it's almost imperative that we get MAP into the schools, and that we get them onto this course where they know that they've been created for a purpose, and that they are following their passions. They're using the gifts and talents that they were given, they were created for. And we don't wind up like my mate who's in his 70s and still has a regret that he never became a school teacher, because he felt that he would have loved to have impacted others. And it didn't happen because he followed a different course, and has that regret today. And I could get quite carried away about that. I love that what came up, Ben saying that our youngest subscriber is 8 and our oldest is 92. I think that in discussions I've had with Glen, he talks about the average subscriber is something like 54. And whilst I think that's important, and it's folk looking for, and maybe almost reaching a midlife crisis and looking for a change, and that MAP is great at that stage. But by then, sadly, they've been conditioned by too much time in the other world. We need to get them younger. And Terence, what about your grandkids? How are your grandkids taking to these ideas?
You know what, Peter? Thanks for asking that. I think I'm trying the best that I can to practically teach them and pass these ideas over to them, right, as early as possible. And I love using analogies, and so do we in Map for Life. The planting of a seed, and how long it takes, and the whole process of germinating, and eventually, kids can understand that. And if you ask them, and this is what I do with my grandkids also, let's go out and plant some flowers, or let's plant some tomatoes, and I really get so excited when I see them getting excited about that. And in everything I do, or we do together, there's a lesson in it. There's a life lesson in nature. And I find that is such a meaningful way of bringing this message of Map for Life and of dreaming and of significance to them. Yeah, and it's planting seeds. I'm confident that the seeds that I plant in them, if they nurtured and they planted in fertile soil and the conditions are right, they're going to achieve the significance that they were born to achieve, Peter.
Norman, how old are your kids?
My first is 16, then the other one is 15, and then a 9 and a 7.
Okay. And how do they feel about Map for Life?
You see, one of the challenges is this whole phenomenon of each one of us having different personalities, and structure at times in certain personalities becomes a drag. So it's also about paying attention to a structured process for some, but also unpacking key principles about the principles as we know them in Map for Life, where it's more about purpose and legacy and allowing the flexibility of the individual to come into play. So I've learned that at a younger age, and also with them still trying to find their voice, it's necessary to guide them without overly one exerting themselves, but allowing them as children to lead you in the way they would want to be led, so to speak. Just allowing them to lead you in the way they would want to be led, and then you're kind of leading from behind, but bringing out the core principles. And one is such as tonight, because I have a sports enthusiast in my son, and you can imagine the heroes in sport, like once again in tonight's talk, tend to be the center of the whole thing. So the idea is enjoy what you're doing, pursue what you want. Work towards it and look at it more that you are in your place of happiness, a place of things that you enjoy. And the story will keep becoming clearer as you go along.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
what is
you see
the plan
that
going forward?
Yeah, because one of the things that Glenn mentioned tonight is be measurable. So you can imagine that you are measuring yourself around this soccer star or this sports person, and it's more about comparing yourself to them and you wanting to be like them, as opposed to, okay, this person has made progress. How can I begin somewhere and also make progress? Because I found that in the youngsters, they get so frustrated when they don't achieve the same level of skill, and the same level of achievement. And you can see that already right there, they're measuring themselves in the wrong way. It's about me against them, as opposed to, I'm making progress and taking step by step towards being a significant person. Yeah.
Right. What are your dreams going forward, guys?
My dream is to impact the world as much as I'm able to. That's what I want to do the next 30 years of my life. Yeah.
Norman?
There's no greater joy than igniting the passion in people and igniting their dreams, and really helping them to pursue their dreams. There's no greater joy than that. And for me, the dream is I'm living it every day, and it's quite fulfilling to be in that type of place, because their success becomes yours somehow. You just somehow enjoy the feedback and that the accolades that you've helped me with this, you've helped me with that. I was stuck here and now I'm there. So that's really my dream. And if the world could embrace this Map for Life process, it really helps unpack and unlock everybody to that journey towards significance.
I'm going to share my little dream, and I say my little dream, and it's a dream that Glenn shared. We spoke of taking MAP to 200 countries, and the fact that we've got to 107, I think is fantastic. I think when I first heard the number of 200, I just thought, that's impossible. But having got to 107 countries, 200 sounds a lovely round number. And I was driving back from Pretoria today to think about how we could go about reaching 200 countries. So that's the dream for the future, guys. Taking MAP to 200 countries. And I think let's leave it at that and say thank you, guys. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you to the listeners for being with us. And we look forward to the 200. Good night, all.
Good night.